All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Friday. Happy Friday to everyone out there. February 9th. We have a 6-game NBA slate to dive into in today's video. Like we always do, we're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game. But as always, all of my final plays, if you do want to do the opposite and fade me, those plays are going to be in the pinned comments. So make sure to keep an eye on that. In terms of last night, not the best night there. Technically speaking, we go 3-5, so it's not like a terrible night, but we got... I mean, sports betting is a hell of a lot of luck, right? When you win. When you lose, it can be a huge lot of, no luck as well. Pascal Siakam, 10 points in the first quarter, and I'm like, all right, I am a genius, right? Crystal ball, clear as day. Crystal ball was not clear as day because we should have taken his first quarter line because he scored 6 points for the rest of the game. So unfortunately there we had 3 plays on Pascal Siakam, all within 1 unit. So technically, it's a 1 unit loss, but nonetheless, we're big on him and he didn't hit his over. So that's an L there. The Cavs Nets didn't cash. And the only other loss we had here was Nikola Vucevic under 3.5 assists. We took his under 15.5 rebounds plus assists. If we just stuck with that, would have been nice, but we did mix in his assist there. So 3-5 night, but let's try and bounce back here and head into the weekend on a positive note with today's picks here. In terms of the ride of the day, cash it. Eric on fire here, 2 in a row. John Collins over 22.5 PRA. I like John Collins in the video yesterday too. Eric confirmed with the ride of the day, and I saw so many people. I think Tassos took him in the player prop parlay on the channel too, right? So many people are on John Collins, and I was like, uh-oh, is this going to be a public pick? It was, but the dude crushed it, pretty much hitting every damn near one of his lines in the first half. So shout out to John Collins, pumping some crowd noise for Eric and the ride of the day. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you have to use is that hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me some locks in the comments, and then I'm picking one person's pick, jumping on board with you, giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also giving you a shout out over on Twitter at EvGuyBoston. If you do want to follow me there, make sure you guys do. In terms of, if you win, we continue to ride with you as well. But keep those ride of the days coming in the comments because I'm scouting. I'm looking around seeing who is going to be ready if and when we need to call on someone new. I hope Eric never loses, but if he does, we do need to call on someone new. So keep those ride of the days coming, but look forward to seeing what Eric pulls out today. All right, let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 on today's slate. We have the 76ers taking on the Hawks. Obviously, this is a Sixers team that is without Joel Embiid. He's still out a few weeks here. I think mid or early April is when he's due back. So he's going to miss the whole month of March pretty much there. An Atlanta team coming off of a loss to the Boston Celtics. Shout out to my Celtics. Celtics win that one, 125 to 117. Right now, Atlanta favored on the road, -2.5, which, you can look up any Atlanta. I keep saying this too, right? Look up any Atlanta against the spread metrics this year. It's going to look bad because they've been so god-awful against the spread. But they've been playing a little bit better as of late. They even covered in that Celtics game. They've covered in 4 of their last 5. And without Joel Embiid, I look to Atlanta again here. So give me Atlanta minus the points. Do I love it? No. And I'll tell you guys when I love something and when I don't, right? Very transparent. So I'm going to lean that way. I don't know if it makes its way into the final plays, to be completely honest, because I could still see this Philadelphia team rallying and playing some decent basketball. They've been god-awful since Embiid got injured, but, they're going to get more and more used to playing without Embiid as he's out, if that makes sense. So, for the last maybe the last week or so, it's a shock. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, Maxi's an all-star. They have, Tobias. They have some casting crew that can compete, especially with a team like Atlanta, but it's too soon still. So I'm going to lean towards Atlanta here. In terms of the total, I guess I'm going to look at the under, mainly because that Philadelphia offense just hasn't looked Sixers-esque without Embiid in there. And that's totally understandable. But, last 2 games, 102 against Dallas, 104 against Golden State. Those are 2 defenses they should be able to score a decent amount of points on. My one cause for concern here is that they've played 3 times this year, these 2 teams, right? They've hit the over every single time. So if you're a trends person, which, some of the time we are, you don't like that because, they're trending in an over direction. But if you're on the contrarian side, it's like, all right, they're due for an under. Give me the under 243. From a player prop perspective, I don't mind taking a peek at DeJounte in this spot, over 26.5 points plus assist. He's very sneakily hit this in 9 of his last 10. And when I say sneakily, it's because he's had 28, 27, 29. In fact, if we look at Outlier here, I can give you a view of this. Here, outlier, you could see 9 of his last 10. He's only blown it away 1 time, right? Even the time he didn't hit it, he came up just shy. So I really don't mind his spot here. Last 2 games against the Sixers, he had 29 and 30 as well. Shot the ball 17 and 18 times, which if you look on the season, right, he's shooting the ball 17, 18 times, 17.7. And this is a Sixers team that allows the 2nd most assists to the shooting guard position. So I don't mind DeJounte Murray over 26.5 points plus assists. I did kind of take a peek at his PRA line. We can look at the last 10 PRA line, hitting that as well. But for whatever reason, I just don't want to rely on the rebounds, especially if the Sixers are good at stopping shooting guard rebounds. You know what I mean? And guys, by the way, if you do want to check out this tool, you can get it for 7 days free. That link is going to be in the pinned comment. You'll get it 7 days free. After that, it's a very manageable price as well, $19.99 per month. But I absolutely love Outlier. They have the player prop screen. They have the against the spread screen as well that you can do the same thing. But this thing is absolutely awesome. We talk about Outlier plenty here on the channel, and we won't stop because it really is that good of a tool. So go ahead, check out Outlier. That link is in the pinned comment. You get 7 days free. Go check it out. Why not just try it for 7 days, right? Link in the pinned comment. All right, Celtics taking on Washington here. This is a weird one, and I shouldn't say it's a weird one because what do I continue to say? I'm like, oh, that's a pretty big spread with the Celtics. It's like, yeah, no kidding, Sherlock. I mean, every game the Celtics seem to be playing has a huge spread here, whether they're playing a good team, a mediocre team, a bad team like this. Like their last 3 games, 15-point favorites. They did lose that outright to the Lakers. 19.5-point favorites, and then 11.5-point favorites. And what I'll say is this is a Celtics team that is very good win-loss. We know that, especially at home, right? They're 24-3 this season at home straight up, but just 51% to the covering rate when at home. So this is a spread that I do think the Celtics win this game, obviously. I do think that they probably beat Washington somewhat substantially, but I'm not comfortable laying 16, and I'm not comfortable relying on a 17-point win in the NBA. I know it's crazy because this is a team that they probably should beat by like 20, but in terms of being a betting man, it's just not something that I really love. So I also don't think it's enough points to give Washington. So I'm on the fence here. I'm leaning towards the better team. Give me the Celtics here minus the points, but I don't think it makes its way into a final play. And I will say Tatum and Drew Holiday both questionable in this one. Could the Celtics be kind of, cognizant of Jason Tatum's workload? The All-Star break is coming up as well. Potentially, maybe keep an eye on the pinned comment for this one. They do have 2 days before their next game, so it's not like they're saving them for the back end of a back-to-back, but still worth noting that they're playing a really bad team. Jason Tatum all of a sudden, on the injury report, right? And I think it's with an illness, which you never know if illnesses are real or if it's kind of the new load management tactic to put on an injury report. But just keep an eye on that because we're certainly not liking the Celtics minus 16.5 without Jason Tatum. Now, a spot I don't mind looking at in this game is going to be the under. This is a Celtics team. Not to say they're trending under because you know how much that they can score, right? But they're trending under, and so is Washington. This is a Washington team that plays with super fast pace, but they're not a very efficient team, right? Like the Celtics, both offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, work them in this game. And if the Celtics are starting to slow down, bottom 10 team in the league in terms of pace over the last 10, I see them slowing this game down as well. We saw it against Atlanta. As the game progressed, it got slower and slower, which that under that we hit a couple nights ago looked like it was toast after the first quarter, then after the first half, even in the third quarter. And then all of a sudden, fourth quarter rolls around, game slows down, under cashes. So this could be a very, very similar spot there. I like the under in this spot. Both teams trending in that direction, and I like the fact that the Celtics pace kind of is on our side here with sort of a little bit of a slowdown here. So not many Celtics player props out right now. In fact, it's weird. Jason Tatum's the only one that has lines out. So I don't know if that indicates that he's playing or not, or his line is just very easy to throw out there, right? He's going to have like a 42.5 PRA. His points line is going to be around 26, 27.5, that type of thing. Whereas if he's out, a lot of the other guys have a line that kind of shifts. So no player props at the moment in this game. We'll keep an eye on the injury report though. Blowout potential, probably not the best player prop spot, though, to be completely honest. All right, we got Toronto taking on the Rockets here. Toronto coming in as favorites in this spot, and I know I've been preaching forever, this Rockets team is bad on the road, which they are on the season here, covering just 40% of games on the road, and, it's a team that has kind of exceeded expectations, but they're a home team for sure. They're not playing the best of basketball, and they're in the middle of a road trip here. And this line comes in at -2. I think this Rockets team is a better team. I don't know. They're pretty similar, but I do think that they're a better team than Toronto. Yet we're still looking at a spot here where Toronto's coming in. Yes, they're at home, but a 2-point favorite. I think you got to trust the line here. I'm going to lean Toronto. I'm going to fade the Rockets yet again on the road here. They did play, what, a week ago or so, and Houston won this game, but where was that game? In Houston. And I'm telling you guys, that makes the world of difference for this Houston team. So Toronto being at home, I don't mind their spot. And, you know, it could be a final play because I do think that this is a Rockets team that's fairly fadeable at home. And Fred VanVleet out now, like, not the best spot for them, right? I think he's out for, I don't know, maybe a week or two with, I think it was like a pulled groin or something like that. So, yeah, it's obviously he was kind of trending down anyways. Like, he's not a cause of how they've been playing or, you know, a hindrance. But it's still one of their better players injured. In terms of a total here, you got to look at the under. And you just can't consider the over if you're looking at this from a betting perspective. I mean, you can. I've been wrong before, right? Last night. But Toronto, if I think they're going to control the pace and they're at home, you're looking at a team that Toronto playing with the 8th slowest pace over the last 10, right? On the season here, on the season, they have hit 39% of overs at home. What is that quick math? 61% of their games at home, they've hit the under. And Houston, we know, isn't going to drop a bunch of points, right? Look at them on the road so far this season. They've been really struggling, but even the last 2 games, they scored 129 against the Pacers. We're not going to have that pace again, right? We're going to have a game very similar to what we saw against Minnesota. The Rockets struggled to get to 90 points, so I got to look at the under in this spot as well. And kind of by looking at the under, it makes me want to stay away from a decent amount of these player props here. One that I considered is kind of looking at RJ Barrett's overs again for his PRA line and whatnot. We cashed that the other night. We were big on it, right? But his line jumped like 3 PRAs. Like we got it at, I think it was 28.5 and then also 29.5. It's up to 31.5 today. So it's like, what the hell happened here? So it is kind of tough, but I still don't mind looking at RJ Barrett in this spot in terms of, you know, the matchup that he's going to get. We're going to be looking at Dillon Brooks probably, which you might be thinking, all right, Dillon Brooks is a really good defender. He's going to trump RJ Barrett. Not the type of player that Dillon Brooks plays well against. Like if he gets too physical with RJ Barrett's going to go to the foul line and everything like that. Like I don't think that this is the best defensive matchup, and they might say, okay, guess what, Dillon Brooks, go cover Scotty Barnes, a little bit more important. So I'm not afraid of the Dillon Brooks effect. I think that he's a little bit of a facade, so I would still consider RJ Barrett in this game. All right, I know we're talking basketball here, but PrizePicks has a Super Bowl square right now, and it's a freebie, guys. Go check it out. Patrick Mahomes, will he throw for just 1 yard? The dude's pretty good, and like all these free squares, I say, I think it has a pretty good chance of hitting. You can get 100% of your first deposit matched with the link in the pinned comment, or you can just download PrizePicks and use code GUYBOSTON, GUYBOSTON, when depositing, and you get your first deposit matched up to $100. It's a no-brainer, right? Like, think about it. You could put in $50. They're going to double it. You'll have a new playable balance of $100. Go check it out, guys. That link is in the pinned comment. Go check out PrizePicks. Take advantage of this free square and enjoy the Super Bowl. You could put this in a 2-man. All you have to do is pick one more pick, right? Throw it in with this, and you get 3 times your money. Sounds pretty damn good to me. Go check out PrizePicks. Link in the pinned comment. Let's go ahead and get back to the games for today. By the way, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but my voice is like on thin ice here. I don't feel like I'm getting sick, but the face and the voice and the throat, that's where it kind of feels like it's taking a toll. But maybe it's because we wake up early and talk a boatload every single day. Who knows? But if the voice starts fading, we'll power through. But kind of feeling a little bit today. All right. I think the Bucks are just like an absolute, you see them and you take the opposite, like an auto fade, right? Because they just they just don't have it figured out. Even last night, go rewatch the video. I was like, I think that this will be like a game where the Bucks try so hard and they know and they should, and the Bucks stink right now. They lose to Minnesota, and Minnesota's a good team, so I'm not knocking Minnesota for beating them, but they just weren't like relevant in that game. Like 129 to 105 was the game score, but that didn't come at the end of the game. Like they were up 20 plenty times. Middleton's still out here. Middleton's actually questionable. Lillard's questionable, and I guess like that's going to be the Bucks fan or the Bucks truther sort of logic as well. No Middleton and no Lillard last night. You still have Giannis, who is undebatably the best player in that game, right? You shouldn't lose by 20, especially when you're 1-point favorites, even with those guys out. So, you know, maybe I'm being too hard on them, but we haven't really pulled the trigger on the Bucks in terms of final plays, but we've leaned the Bucks a few times in a row because I keep thinking they're going to get out of their own way, and then they don't. So all that being said, tonight they're playing Charlotte, who they should obviously mollywop. They played in mid-November. They're only meeting this year, and the Bucks won 130-99. And Milwaukee is at home on the second night of back-to-backs. Milwaukee's covered just 50% of their games, so it's like, all right, well, kind of a toss-up here for whether they cover or not. And that line is big. Like I said, I think I'm gonna fade the Bucks. It's a good spot for the Bucks. I admit that. They're back-to-back, and I almost say the toss-up in terms of no-rest situations on back-to-backs, it could be a good or bad, right? It's like 50%. It's not saying that they're bad at it. It's not saying they're good at it, but they're playing Charlotte, who they should be able to go in there and beat. And Charlotte, on on rest advantage days, they've covered just 30% of games this season, so it's not like they come in with rest and are like, oh, yeah, we're reared up and ready to go. Like, we can beat this team because they're tired. They're not good at that. So, yeah, I'm going to lean towards... I guess I still, this game has me in a pretzel. The Bucks should win this game, and they should win by 14. I'm not touching it. I want to lean Charlotte, but that's confusing as hell because Charlotte's not good at covering games either. How stupid am I? Give me the Bucks. I just like flip-flopped in the middle of the video here. If you made it this far into the video, go ahead and comment Bucks, because you just saw what was a near mental breakdown talking Bucks basketball, because it's so damn confusing. But you should know this isn't being a final play, right? What could be a final play is the over in this spot. I really don't mind the pace that the Bucks are playing with on back-to-back nights. The second night, they've covered in 3/4, 75% of their games. They hit that over. And Charlotte has covered in plenty of overs on the season. And at home, they're covering 54% of the overs, which is great. Or actually, on the road, they're covering 54%, and the Bucks 70% of their games at home this year have hit the over, and neither one of these teams is going to play all that much defense, right? And Charlotte, though they're a slow team, they're actually playing a little bit faster. You could flash back, I would say maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, Charlotte was, 25th in terms of pace. They're actually up to 18th now. So what I'm saying is that they're kind of getting faster. Like, they still have probably and this is the last 10 games, the tail of that 10 probably still has some of those really slow paced games. But you look at them as of late, right? 2 games in a row, 118, 117. Their points allowed were 123, 124, 115, 126, 117. Like, they're obviously not a good defense, but if they're offense can give you 117 like they did last game in this spot in what should be a faster paced game than when they played Toronto, I like the over 231.5 here. From a player prop perspective, we're kind of missing a lot of lines. Charlotte was a team that was affected by the trade deadline yesterday, actually in multiple ways, and we're looking at a lot of questionabilities on the side of the Bucks here. No one, if no one's injured or anything like that, I wouldn't really be scared of taking a guy, I guess you could say like Giannis or something like that, because I do think that he bounces back today. If there's one guy that's feeling this sort of lack thereof in Milwaukee, it's got to be Giannis. Played 27 minutes last night, so he should be fresh. He only had 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 rebounds actually, 7 assists. Like, this should be a guy that goes out there and wants to dominate. So maybe first half lines could be a Giannis spot as well. But I just think that, but it's funny because, not to get on a rant here, but it's kind of like Giannis is now the epitome of the Bucks in a sense, where I'm like, oh, well, they got to be fired up and got a fire under their ass. It's like, does Giannis? I think he does, but I also thought the Bucks did, so maybe we're way off on this team, and we probably spent way too much of the video on this team, but like I said, we're psychos. All right, we got the Kings taking on the Nuggets here. Kings 1.5 point favorites at home, which I think is a fair line. Total sitting at 233.5. We'll start with the total in this one. I like the under. We cashed the Nuggets under last night. The Sacramento team, they're playing with such an over pace that I think they're due for a little bit of an under here. Like, they scored, what was it? Actually, they lost to the Pistons, right? 120 to 133 or so, but their offense hasn't totally been like this dominant offense. Last 2 games, 110, and then whatever they scored against the Pistons, again, it was in the 120s. Denver's coming in playing Denver's throwing the fastball. Not to say they're playing with fast, but they're just doing Denver. Like, they've been doing Denver. Very, very standard sort of 113 to 117 points per game as of late. They did go and score 120 against Portland, but followed that up the next game with a 112 against Portland. So I think this game has a slow-ish pace. I do think the Kings kind of have the edge here. Denver on a back-to-back. They've covered in just 33% of their back-to-backs this year, whereas Sacramento, when they have a rest advantage, have covered in 71% of their games, and Denver's on the road, which we know Denver struggles on the road. Now, you could say, well, they didn't last night, right? They win and cover against the Lakers. I get it, but for them to do that twice is a little bit sketchy for me, so I'll take Sacramento in this spot, and like I said, just like last night, I do think Denver still is a team that they're playing so, I guess you could say so slow, that no matter if I like, it's kind of counterintuitive because you'd think, well, Sacramento's fast. And if I think Sacramento wins, they're going to play Sacramento basketball. But that's so hard to do against this Denver team. Like, Denver will make you play their game, home, away, anything like that. And I think Sacramento can play that half-court game. They have like a baby Jokic and Sabonis, like obviously miles away from that talent and even in size. But, they can do the half-court. Center gets the ball in the middle, makes a nice pass, and they have talent around him. So I think this goes under, as well as the Kings taking this one. In terms of player props here, we could jump back into Outlier. A player prop, it's risky, but I don't really mind, is going to be Jamal Murray under 23.5 points. You can also look at it for under 25.5. You're paying a little bit more juice, but it does change from, look at 23.5, changed from a 60% hit rate to a 75% hit rate for the under. So worth saying, but kind of the notion here is, look at when he has these big, 29, 30-point games, he usually follows it up with a game that, still decent, 20 points or so, but he hasn't really strung together two really good games in a row. And last time he played the Kings here, it was, not even this past December, the one before that. He had just 25 points in that spot, and he shot 15 times. Jamal Murray, like, he's going to shoot almost I don't want to say a maximum 15 times, because even look at last night, 25 of 10. So that makes it look like an egg on my face. But if he shoots 15 times and shoots 45% like he normally would, he's going to have a tough time getting to that 26 number. So again, look at this. He hasn't done it in back-to-back games yet this season. Even last year, he struggled to do it. A clump here and there. But throughout the majority of the season, this guy has a good scoring night and then kind of returns back down to earth. So I said it's a little bit risky because Jamal Murray is a good player. And if this goes and becomes a fast-paced game, he's going to be one that really capitalizes. But yeah, give me his under 25.5 points for juice. We also would consider his normal line at 23.5 as well. All right, Lakers taking on the Pelicans. They're on a back-to-back here as they lost to Nuggets last night. They're getting 1 point here at home, total sitting at 234.5. I like the over right off the bat, and I like the Pelicans. I think that this is a back-to-back situation for the Lakers where you could honestly potentially not see LeBron or AD play. They kind of gave it their all last night, and it's pretty astonishing. The Lakers have not covered, or actually, it's easier to say they've only covered in 12% of their games on back-to-backs this year. And the Pelicans, good when it comes to rest advantage and good to being a road cover team. 58% to their cover rate this year. Like, good for them. So this Pelicans team, you're going to want to look at the injury report, but you kind of want to have an injury report eye for this entire day for this game because LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't on the injury report, but we know how they get on back-to-back. So keep an eye here. But for the Pelicans, you do have Valanciunas and Zion Williamson, and you do also have Najee Marshall, which does play here and there, right? So like worth noting, more so the Zion and Jonas Valanciunas there, if you're going to bet Pelicans. But I could see, Zion sitting and Brandon Ingram having a good day as well. So I'm going to take a peek also at Brandon Ingram's overs. We got burned by that a couple nights ago taking it, but this is still a spot where Brandon Ingram should be able to score points. And he had a bad night. Like he should be able to follow it up with a good night. Last time he played the Lakers, he had 26 points against them. That was late December. So you like to see that. As long as, he's getting his shots, I do think he'll be able to score. So if we can get, 15 shot attempts from him, I like the spot because he loves a mid-range jumper, right? The Lakers, not very good at covering the mid-range here. That's also why I gave you guys Jamal Murray's points yesterday. We didn't end up making a final play, but I liked Murray's points because of the mid-range. And now we're fading Murray today, as funny as that works. But yeah, Brandon Ingram's going to be my player prop look here. He's also not on the injury report, and if those guys sit, it's just more to go around for Ingram, right? So I don't mind that. But like I said, I like the over. I like the Pelicans and Brandon Ingram here. This Lakers team, can't trust them, on a back-to-back, especially with just their injuries. So D'Angelo Russell also on the injury report for the Lakers as well. So it's just, you're going to want to wait this one out. But guys, it's going to wrap for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Can't believe we had that Bucks breakdown, the BB in this video. But nonetheless, guys, have a great Friday. We're heading into the weekend. Let's get some good picks tonight because we've been doing well. Last night kind of burned because if Siakam just continues that, we have a celebratory day. But can't say if in sports betting, right? We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.